All right, everyone. Welcome to Dgenz Crypto Daily. We're in episode 10. I waited a little bit longer than normal to give you guys an update, a daily update, because I was waiting to see what happens to the Bitcoin weekly chart. Where does it close? We just had the monthly close yesterday. So let's dive right in because, it was pretty bad with the close today. So I want to dive into it right away. This is where we are for Bitcoin on the weekly. We really don't want to see this latest candle because if we have something like that happen, mostly we have a bearish close, right, which is happening in about 30 minutes. What happens then is it's like we'll get some price action down to like 48,000 again. Also, if you look, the volume is increasing for this week compared to last week. That's another bearish sign. And, if it does fall apart here and starts moving south, probably get some support again, 48,000, maybe a small bounce, and then decide whether or not we go down to like 35. If we get to 35, I hope Swift, because if it's not Swift, it's going to take a while to get going again. That would mean like we're in for some deep hurting. Because like the problem is when things fall through, right? When fall through here, it's going to take a while to wind up again and get going. All right. We have the 200 EMA here, weekly 200, the weekly 365 EMA is right there. That's at 24,000. I don't think we see that if we have a bearish September. But in looking at all of this, I think the best outcome right now should be, all right, so September's bearish, we go to 48 and stop. And then we kind of double here and then go back up. That will be the most ideal situation. Okay. Let's look at what happened last September. Okay, so September was here. Right there. So this is the start of September. So we still had negative price action on Bitcoin, right? Into that deep cut at 15,000. I remember that. And then slowly we moved sideways and then started to get traction, right? We don't want this kind of candle in September because again, it's going to take us a while to get going again. Okay. In 22, so that was so that was 22. 23 in September was here. Was about here. Right, so August into September. So it wasn't bearish, it wasn't bullish. It was just crabbing for about 4 weeks. 21 was the bull run year. In bull run years, it's difficult to assess what happens in September because you usually have a lot of bullish momentum, so then you need to have a correction at some point. Now, do we have this similar correction? It's possible, right? It kind of gives us a similar setup as 21, where we were moving up, found a top, came back down, and then ramped up to go again. It's quite possible, right? If we go straight to current price action, right? We can kind of do the same thing where, we did this, we're going to come back here and then keep going again. Okay. Looking at the monthly close, which happened yesterday, it wasn't great. I'll be honest with you, and it was kind of almost expected because um, we had a bad week. If we had a pretty decent week, it would have been better. But you see how like in September it's already starting to try to push down towards these two lines. These are the monthly 13 and 21 EMA. So if we do this again, we're looking for support right there again. So again, 48,000 looks to be it. That's why I say if we do have a drop down, most likely it hits that 21 EMA on the monthly, and then it most likely find support. The good thing about this setup right now is that these EMAs look very healthy, right? They're not pinching, they're not getting smaller. So like there's no action going this way yet. And mind you, they're always going to be a month behind because once September finishes, we will have a new EMA that comes out, and we'll see where it is. But for now, we can only look at the history of Bitcoin in terms of the EMAs, and right now we can see that we've only had a few crosses before. So the bearish cross of these EMAs happened back in 22, so July in 22. See there, right there. That's a bearish cross. It was anticipated well before that cross actually happened. So the price action started right there. So a couple months before that, and then we had the cross, and then bullish activity starting to come back up. So we had this bullish cross over here. That's October 2023. And so far, it has lasted until now. Okay. Last cross in 21. Yeah, it happened around 2020, actually. When you look at it, it was right there. And then the next cross was at the peak of 2021. So, as long as these EMAs on the monthly scale are not pinching, we should be okay. We really don't want anything to look like this. Okay. So we're looking okay for now. We can still have a bearish month. For example, we can have like this candle form, right? But stays above the EMAs. And then we're still good, right? Look at the other side, for example. As long as we're above these EMAs, we're okay. That's why it's important that 48,000 is a good support spot and serves as a section where buyers come in. Other thing to note is that when you look at the overall volume for Bitcoin on, for example, even Binance, look at this volume right here. It's well below this white line, which is the average daily volume. Okay. And then obviously at these levels, when we're at 20,000, a lot of green buying volume was coming in, right? So let's see what happens. Like you can see that the average is coming down fairly quickly now. And if we see a spike of any sort above that line, it's a strong move. So keep an eye on the average volume versus the daily volume and see whether or not these candles that are being produced in September are going to be strong. So right now we're just looking for a bounce. So the first bounce is, like we said, about here at the top of the EMA, which is 53,000. The next one's at 48,000. All right. Now, when I'm looking at MACD, okay, it's a very, very strong indicator for a lot of things, including bull runs. Okay. So if you look at this, for example, when you have this crossover, that's the end of the bull run. Okay. You can clearly see the momentum bars going smaller and smaller and smaller. And that translates into strong bearish momentum bars, and then weak momentum bearish bars, and then into strong bullish bars. So we got to keep an eye on all of those things. See how it's starting to kind of pinch. We really want it to do what it did there, where it kind of moved away from it and started going up again. So there's still a chance that September is overall neutral, say we're up maybe like 1%, 2% when we close, which is going to be good. That means there's still a possibility of a massive October or massive November. But if this pinches, right? So say, for example, we get into October and these EMAs are completely crossed over like that, then it's until probably February of next year. We're going to see some bullish momentum because like it would take some time to get down here, right? So you got to consider every single one of these bars is a month. So you got January, February, March, April, May, June, maybe, right? I mean, you can see by even look at it at this side, January 22, and we had all of this until September to actually start to feel the shift of momentum. So it takes a while to get going. If you haven't had a chance to follow me on Twitter, now's a good time to do so. Here's my page on Twitter. You'll stay up to date on everything relating to crypto. I'm going to try to give you guys daily streams on whatever happens in crypto. It could be anything. It could be NFT related. It could be DeFi related. It could be layer one related, airdrop related, whatever the case is. I'm going to try to get as much info to you every single day. And if you haven't had a chance to check out our Dgenz NFT project, give us a follow and click on that link on our main page to get access to our Discord in our small community. All right, so that was Bitcoin MACD on the monthly. We really don't want those crossovers, right? Because we're going to be going into bearish territory. What I'm going to show you is the weekly MACD. Okay, and we'll go from there. Okay, so the interesting thing I found out when I was charting a lot of stuff is you can actually do similar things to MACD as you can with actual price action. So for example, you can even do like retracements. Okay, you can do retracements. You can go, all right, so this is the bottom, this is the top, right? Let's see where they're at. And you can see kind of like it does match up, right? So if you were to say, well, chart doesn't match up. Well, yes, it does. So you got something here, right? You can clearly see there's something there. There's clearly something there, right? These fibs do actually work. See that right there? There's one over there. So we almost kind of like can use fib retracements for MACD. We can even use trend lines. I'll show you with that. If you were to do trend lines, you can go here to say about here, because that was almost a resistance spot. And then maybe now we have bearish momentum to here, right? Probably creating a higher low because we have one low here, maybe a higher low there. And then that can take us into the new year. The other thing you can possibly do is you can go to the trend lines. You go, all right, what about, finding divergence? So you can go and do it like this. Go, shit, there's my trend line that was broken. Therefore, this is going to be a bearish move. So you can say, all right, let me bring up the rest of the chart. You go, okay, so now if this is a bearish move, then this is going to be a strong bearish move. And so this is why we are expecting this price action to fall down, right, rather than pump, because this trend line for the MACD has been broken. Okay. So there's a lot of fun things you can do with MACD. I really like that indicator. It tells me a large portion of the story. And a lot of times, if you're trading, for example, in 50-minute or 1 hour intervals, you can easily set your swing trades on that as well. For example, you can start shorting at this level, right? You can start shorting at this level. You can start shorting at this level. Vice versa, you can start longing right here, longing right there, longing when there's a crossover there, right? You're also looking for momentum swings. So when the momentum bars start changing, that's a good start to add to your position, just like that. Okay. So that's that with Bitcoin. It's unfortunate we are where we are, but you know, going back to the Bitcoin monthly returns chart, you can see that September is obviously a bad month. 22 was 3%, 21 was 7%, 2020 was 7.5%, and so on. 23 was up almost 4%. So there is a chance of that repeating. I was looking at this earlier and I saw in 2016, for example, we had September returns of 6%, and then October returns of 14%, November returns of 5%, and then we got into the bull run at 30%. So is this the bull run year or sub bull run year where we lead up to it and then we start ramping up? What I mean by that is, we say we dropped to 48,000, but we still managed to push further than that. We get up to like 53,000, maybe 55,000 midway through the month. And then from there, we get to 62,000 and we start to move up slowly, right, into the bull run. And then we can negate and not worry about any of those indicators we talked about earlier, any of those bearish indicators, because it won't matter anymore. The other thing I was looking at is per quarter. The returns for Bitcoin per quarter are interesting as well. Fourth quarter seems to be doing usually very, very well in any of the years. Now, 2018 obviously is right after the bull run year. 2022 again right after the bull run year, so you can kind of expect that, in 2014 as well. Okay, but any other year in the fourth quarter, or quarter number 4, sorry, is very, very bullish. 23 we had 56% overall. 2020 pre-bull run year was up 168%. 2017 is the bull run year, we were up 215%. The year before that, 58%. The year before that, 81%. So, September is the last month of Q3. And, based on stats alone, the chances are we are going to have a really, really good quarter 4. So, don't get discouraged. Even though things do look bearish at the moment, don't get discouraged because stats are on our side, right? Just looking at the stats, they're on our side. ETH is almost at the same boat. Pretty similar statistics. They kind of lead one another, right? Bitcoin goes up 56% in Q4 in 23. ETH goes up 36%, right? So they get cues from each other, and they're fairly consistent, right? Similar in 2019, 2018, 2017, and so on. So again, do not get discouraged. You can see that there is a chance of September holding, maybe even being positive. And then, obviously October is crucial because only 2 years out of the how many we have, 11 years, they were bearish, right? And they were bearish in the post bull run years. So high probability of being really bullish in October. November is just like that. There's a few years that were pretty bad, namely last year, which is, 2 years ago, not last year. Last year we were 80%. 2022, right, we were pretty bad because that's post bull run. And then December, we'll see how December goes because it could go either way. But yeah, leave me some comments what you think about what's going to happen in September. I'm really curious what you guys have to say and think. All right. Just reading some comments here. Dime on hand. Did you let me ask them. All right. Before we finish for today, I'm going to try to keep it short. Tomorrow is Labor Day, but I'll still have a stream. let me look at a couple things. I want to look at Velo. I always like looking at Velo. It's a monster of a project fundamentally. It is constantly staying afloat and trying to beat everybody's expectations with price action, even mine, because I thought for sure it was going to fall through into the channel that I mentioned before, which was like right here, but it never did. It kind of got supported up here, right? And then eventually started moving up. Unfortunately, now that everything's turning slightly bearish, it's going to have that negative momentum as well. But it's going to be interesting to see how it does, if it does hold the ground right here, which is the 365 EMA. Okay, so if you're going to hope there's any support, it's going to be right at this level right here. So 1.28 cents. All right. The other thing to look at is the daily EMA is kind of doing that cross. So we kind of expect bearish momentum to hit very, very soon. So there is still a chance of this price action to come down to here again and complete a head and shoulders. Right. So we have the head and shoulders pattern, right? It will be an amazing time to add at that point. So if you're ever considering adding Velo and it gets down to 0.008, like do not think twice. Do not think twice, because it's been a performance monster so far. Everything's dumping well. It's just holding ground. And at some point it's going to find support and then start to move up to here, right? At 4 cents, and then off we go. And I mean, it's consistently trending a lot of these social metrics, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Telegram. I think there's a lot of people in the Telegram groups talking about them. So yeah, just keep an eye on like these levels we talked about, right? From 10 cents onwards. That's a fairly strong level of resistance. But again, if you're playing against like an ETH, right? So I did this before with you guys. So I did mention this on Twitter once. If I were to look at this chart, I would immediately buy the asset, because even though it's at strong resistance spot right here, it's bound to pop out of that. It's a matter of time, right? And again, so we have these massive EMAs, right? These are daily EMAs. Well, when we talked about the pinches, right? The EMA pinches, the actual crossovers, which I mean by pinch, they're lagging indicators. So this pinch is going to eventually happen, right? And you're going to have the EMA start to cross over like that. The price action is going to be well above that and ahead of that. And looking at this chart itself, it looks like it's primed for a run, right? Most likely a little bit of retracement here and then pop, right? And we're popping to this level first, which is at 0.000. So that's 4 zeros, 29. Okay, and then from there we are running to the other level, okay, which was a strong support turn resistance right there at 83. Okay. The other asset I want to look at is Opulus. Friends are kind of worried that it just keeps dumping, but you have to understand, this is the market right now. Everything's bearish. Everything. All coins are dumping because they have no reason to pump. The current sentiment is really, really bearish. So you gotta roll with the punches, I guess. And we talked about the Opulus price action. We said that this level right here is the bottom. So that will be 0.45 cents. 0.045 cents. If it does fall further than that, and it could, there's going to be a fairly strong bounce from that level, because there's a lot of inefficiency there. That means a lot of buyers are going to come in because they're going to see the value proposition right away. That's why we have some of these wicks that don't make any sense. For example, like right here, a massive buy wick and then immediately sold. Same goes with some other ones that we see, like this one, massive buy wick and then it sold again. So in this case, if there's a massive sell wick, it will be bought again, right? Those are inefficiencies that come along sometimes, and then they get scooped up. Most likely trading bots, because we're not quick enough to act on those. But in the event that it does go below that 0.045 cent area, it's going to be scooped up pretty quickly. So don't be worried about this price action. Remember, we're so much closer to that bull run. I really don't think this was the bull run. If somebody wants to look at this, say, yeah, this is the bull run. Like, come on, guys. A bull run really consists of making sure that price action is well above the EMAs. Remember, we talk about the EMAs, those red and blue lines. We have never gone past that point. So once we get going above here, then we're talking about a bull run. All right. Because tomorrow's Labor Day, traditional markets are going to be closed. So we can't really look at DXY yet because we won't know what's going to happen to traditional markets. Like I said, normally traditional markets in September are bearish. That means this indicator should be pumping, so it should be going up. Okay. This is kind of like a head and shoulders situation that's being rejected at the neckline. So maybe we do have some movement to the upside here. So to about maybe 104. Okay. Again, we really want price action to be here for traditional markets so they can enjoy our profits. Tether dominance. Let's look at that for a second. Okay, let's look at that. So, we really hope that this level is a true representation of a strong resistance. That means this area right here will be rejected pretty hard. The other thing we note right away is if this is playing out, then we're looking at a inverse head and shoulders. This will be the left shoulder, the head, and then the right shoulder. Okay. If that happens, we have a decision at the neckline. That means either we keep going, right, which will be terrible for us. We will not have a bull run until probably 2026. Or it does reject and then goes down here, meaning that we are back on being bullish again. So anything that happens on this chart, we want it to be bearish, right? We want all of that liquidity to go into altcoins and not into Tether dominance. All right. So 6%, to about 6.33% we're looking at. And then maybe we get some alt moves. Total 3 is the total market cap of all of altcoins. Doesn't include Bitcoin or ETH at this point. Kind of sucks because we were looking at this before, and then I noticed there was a rejection at the neckline, which was good, right? But then there was another rejection here. Now it's trying to find at least a higher low. Could be a higher low or a double bottom at that level again, and then we can kind of get going. But right now, it's clearly trying to find some bottom, and hopefully we kind of bottom up fairly quickly. Maybe down here, then go up into October. We really wanted to have this price action go up from this red line right here, but obviously that didn't happen. Weekly, when you look at these weekly candles, and this weekly candle is going to close it a minute, it looks very bearish because we always look for the body of the candle. You know, how big is it? Is it bigger than the week before? All right, in this case, it's much, much bigger than the week before. So that's a stronger bearish move. Most likely when it closes, it's going to continue on probably from this point on down. The 200 EMA is at this level. So maybe that's going to be somewhere where it stops. But yeah, 18 seconds before everything closes. You know, Bitcoin definitely wants to drop here. Feels like it is a shorter's paradise right now. But remember, add to your convictions, right? Anything that you feel like is going to do well in the bull run, you keep adding, keep adding, keep adding. You know, you can add Solana, you can stake it, right? You can add something higher yieldy like Polkadot. You can stake Polkadot for 16%. You can get in DeFi, right? You can take your capital and buy, say, Solana and I don't know, Jupiter, put them in a pool, let them play off of each other. You can earn capital along with more Jupe or Solana, depends on what side of the trade you are on. Many options out there. All right, but you know, we had this weekly close. Obviously, it's a bearish candle. It looks like shit. It looks like this candle right here. And at the worst spot too is it closed well below these two EMAs, the 13 and 21 EMAs. So, and it's forming a pinch, if you guys can see it, right? It's forming a pinch right at that level. So it's not looking great weekly, right? Now we can always drop here and then come back up. So that's not a problem. But for right now, doesn't look good. Does not look good. And this pretty much takes us to the end of the stream. Ran a little bit longer than normal. I wanted to make sure we capture all the information that happened on the weekly scale, monthly scale, and you know, touching on Velo and Opulus price action because they're really important. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you again for tuning in, and let's hope that week brings us something positive. All right, see you guys later.